The thing with all this quantum gravity stuff that I do is I never really wanted to do it in the first place. I wanted to be a writer of science fiction and a stand-up comic, and I still want to be those things also. I still want to do stand-up comedy and write science fiction. But really from the science fiction angle of things and getting really deep into studying physics, cosmology, astrophysics and whatever else, I, came, upon this idea that gravitational fields could be electron densities and found all sorts of, sort of concomitant theories from the past in what was mainstream physics, like ether theory and de Duillet and Lesage gravity and these sorts of things that have now been forgotten, but which were fundamental, theories of physics in the past, or theories of gravitational fields in the past, and wanting to revive all those sorts of things. The very last thing I want to do is delude anyone, or delude myself even, into thinking that I'm some sort of genius type when I'm not, and I absolutely don't really want to peddle anything for money. I don't want to be one of these people who go around with these very expensive conferences and these pseudo documentaries about electric universe theory and things like this. And I've joined electric universe theory groups and I've talked about my ideas on them. And one thing that struck me is, like, I thought I was going to generate like a huge amount of interest on these electric universe theory groups with my ideas, but they're really not that popular even there. I think on a level, to the electric universe theory types, it smacks too much of being like real science or something, and to real scientists, it smacks too much of being woo woo electric universe theory. So I'm between a rock and a hard place with this, really, and I don't know quite how to move forward with it at all, or if I even want to move forward with it at all. I don't really know what to do about it. I'm of the conviction that gravitational fields are electron densities, and I mean, really, I wanted to come up with this because I'm writing, for instance, a novel called Citadel, which is about advanced human civilizations in the future and all this sort of thing. Wanted to come up with very, very, like, I wanted it to be written with very good scientific understanding, but I was taking humanities degrees at the time, obviously, because that's just what I went into, because, that's what you do if you want to be a writer, right? You take literature, history, and philosophy, and those sorts of subjects, which is what I did, and love science and love science fiction, and wanted to write really, hard science fiction, not, hard as in difficult to read, but hard as in underpinned by very solid scientific understanding, science fiction, and ended up coming up with this idea that gravitational fields are electron densities in the process of doing that, really, in the process of reading, Feynman's popular science books, and dipping into, reading all of the Theoretical Minimum series by Leonard Susskind and George Grabowski, and really trying to become like very scientifically literate as a layperson for science fiction reasons. Whether or not my model, I'm pretty certain my model is correct as well. And if it's the correct model of quantum gravity, then it of course deserves something like a Nobel Prize. But then again, I don't want to really come across as one of these sorts of people who say, give me the Nobel Prize, please, I must have it because I'm a fringe thinker or woo merchant who has figured out something extraordinary about the universe, and and I deserve a Nobel Prize, like the electric universe theory people do, unfortunately. And they say that the sun is an anode, but the sun is positively charged. I say no, quite the contrary. If anything, it'd be very slightly negatively charged, but it wouldn't really be. I think in the fullness of the thing about the sun in the model that I've constructed of gravity, there's an electron density from the sun spilling out through the galaxy, a sort of ether, if you like, into which the planets are studied, and when they're carried around the sun by this swirling ether, or this rotating ether propagated from the sun. So the sun doesn't strictly speak end at the chromosphere or the corona, or the bits that we can see. There's the visible parts of the sun, and then there's this invisible gravitational field associated with it, or this invisible gravito-electroweak field associated with it, if you like, or gravito-electromagnetic field associated with it, if you like these more sort of unificatory terms in terminology in physics and unified physics. But I plummeted down this rabbit hole for many, many years, trying to understand all this stuff. And I think I did come up with something that, you know, was very scientifically important. And I started getting my first science fiction novel, which I called The Pains of Heaven, but later decided to call Leviathan Automaton, which was about two dudes at Caltech, one a computer scientist, the other an engineer, who came up with a quantum gravity theory, as an engineer does, but it turned out to be the right quantum gravity theory. Because the point of the quantum gravity theory in Leviathan Automaton, which is all about AI and virtual reality, you would need to understand quantum gravity to be able to have virtual worlds of perfect fidelity. So you need to understand, you know, physics engines and gravity at a quantum scale to be able to, you know, realistically simulate a virtual world. And I need to rewrite that again, actually, and keep plugging away at that, and turn it into high quality science fiction. If I can do nothing else, I could possibly do that even, and maybe sort of steer away from trying to write physics papers and so on, even though I have drafted many physics papers and I'm trying to write a non-fiction book about physics. But is it an encouraging sign that I've got no legions of sort of crackpot types who, like Electric Universe Theory has, you know, thousands and thousands of followers, from people who are just illiterate about science and want something that's alternative to what the establishment says and so on. And yeah, I mean, I've exchanged many emails with physicists over the years, and they've all been very obliging and helpful, and I've had some conversations with them, and one or two of them have even said it's a good theory. One or two of them have said they don't understand my theory. So I don't know what to think. Like, is it worth pursuing as actually like real science, or do I do actually what I maybe want to really do, which is just lean back into creative work? Yeah, and detail the history of the development of this civilization ruled by AI, wherein everyone spends most of their time in virtual reality of their own creating. And a feature of the process in the development of those virtual worlds was somebody figuring out quantum gravity. And one of the applications of that would be that you could create virtual worlds that seem as real as the real world we're in at the moment. And the simulation theory implications of that. Simulation theory, should say, I guess. That, you know, for all we know, we're in a simulation already, and and problem of evil implications for that as well, and free will and what have you. Also, if all reality has been simulated, what has it been simulated by, and this, that, and the other. But yeah, it's I don't know. Like, I think I did well with it. I mean, I'm no scientist. I'm no mathematician. That's the point. I never entertained that idea. Never entertained the idea of getting into science. Really, I just thought, you know, oh, my maths isn't good enough. I'll you know, but my writing ability, you know, is strong. Apparently, I got 150 on the IQ test for writing bit. On that component of the IQ test, got 150, which is as high as it goes, I think. So yeah, I thought the Welsh adult intelligence test is what I took. Maybe I should take another IQ test if I've got stupider over the years. Maybe to see if my mathematical and visual spatial abilities have picked up over the years. And maybe I should be a physicist. But then again, why do that when I can just write a fictional physicist who comes up with all the right ideas? So I get the credit for it down the line. And if it's great science fiction, I might make money in the short term as well, which is good, because I do want money. I don't want to starve, right? I do want to secure life, but I don't want to have the reputation of really being a charlatan who's going around trying to deceive people. So yeah, maybe that's what I should do, just chuck it all in a fiction book. Like I cleverly thought to do anyway with Leviathan Automaton. dare I say, cleverly. But yeah. It is good. I think what I did was a good bit of scientific point making about gravitational fields, about the way that the universe works. As for Citadel in particular, there's a lot of light speed travel. It's toys with the idea of faster than light travel as well. So I thought it'd be apposite to have explanations of these in terms of background electron densities and the space-time of the background really being a cosmological electron density or a galactic electron density superimposed upon a cosmological electron density. And length contraction being down to these sorts of things. The ship would get smaller as it approaches light speed and things like that. And that's that is what length contraction is in real terms, and that does happen. I think when you send larger objects such as spaceships to the speed of light, they go down very, very small, or smaller. So Einstein was right about that still, and I shouldn't maybe have written that article saying Einstein was wrong, because he's not wrong. That's the other thing. His theory is not wrong at all. It's incomplete. But no, I think what I was taking issue with more is that it's taking issue with things like these natural units and so on used in general relativity. It's very confusing to me. But I mean, come on, it just doesn't come out as the same thing if you use, was it 4 pi g over c squared? If you set those things to 1, the c squared equals to 1, because 1 times 1 is equal to 1, and g is 1 as well, so 4 pi over 1, you just have 4 pi left. So the Einstein tensor is equal to 4 pi, whereas if you leave the proper units for the fundamental constants in there, it equals something different that I can't calculate in my head. So I think that is misleading still, unfortunately. But no, like, this is by no means what I wanted to do originally. I never set out to be a physicist. It was like one of those, like, it's just something I was always interested in, always, but by no means set out to become one. And really, yeah, I want to be a stand-up comic, a writer. Less a writer, even more a stand-up comic, really. I've neglected those things because of this shite. I don't know why, like, yeah, maybe it was like the thrall of grand accolades, Nobel Prizes or whatever, and like the genuine idea that I thought I could win one. And then again, if in fact I'm right, do I not deserve one? But you know, no, I don't think. No, I think probably the best thing for me to do is just to continue writing my books, sci-fi books. Stick it all into those, and yeah, hope for the best. In terms of trying to win like a Nebula Award or something for sci-fi. If Leviathan Automaton ever gets picked up by a publisher, which I hope it does. That's what I'll do. I think I'll continue trying to write sci-fi books. Thank you for watching. Bye bye, love you lots.